Over the past few months, the plant has endured more than 460 UAV attacks and more than 15 artillery strikes. Among other incidents, the international community was informed of the first deliberate drone strike in human history on the turbine hull of Unit No. 6 at the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, with the drone penetrating the structure just a few meters from the reactor vessel. Unfortunately, in addition to the clear escalation of attacks around the Zaporizhzhia NPP's infrastructure, the scale of the attacks on Enerhodar is simply beyond common sense.
Attacks on nuclear power plants are absolutely unacceptable. They may be called Bushehr, Zaporizhzhia, Kursk, Baraka.
Is the Rosatom chief raising a red alarm after claiming 460 drone strikes have hit the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, painting a picture of a nuclear disaster quietly waiting to happen? With 6 people killed and 43 wounded, are drones and artillery pounding the nuclear city of Enerhodar into a war zone, putting both civilians and reactor crews in daily danger? Is the scale of attacks on Enerhodar now beyond common sense, as Rosatom's chief warns that an entire nuclear city is effectively under siege with barely any international response? All this comes as renewed US-Iran tensions have pushed the Bushehr nuclear plant onto edge, raising fears that 2 separate nuclear facilities on 2 different fronts are now at risk. Has Rosatom halted the return of its staff to Bushehr after new attacks in the area, signaling that even Russia's nuclear engineers no longer feel safe near an active reactor? With the IAEA now warning that all attacks on nuclear plants are absolutely unacceptable, is the world finally waking up to a nuclear safety crisis unfolding on multiple fronts at once?
Over the past few months, the plant has endured more than 460 UAV attacks and more than 15 artillery strikes. Among other incidents, the international community was informed of the first deliberate drone strike in human history on the turbine hull of Unit No. 6 at the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, with the drone penetrating the structure just a few meters from the reactor vessel. Unfortunately, in addition to the clear escalation of attacks around the Zaporizhzhia NPP's infrastructure, the scale of the attacks on Enerhodar is simply beyond common sense. This is also a completely unprecedented case of strikes on a nuclear city, targeting, without exception, its entire social infrastructure. 6 people have been killed and 43 have been injured over the past few months. This includes both current and former employees of the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, as well as their family members. In addition to the drone strikes and artillery fire in recent weeks, there have also been psychological attacks, nighttime drone flights over the city equipped with loudspeakers, broadcasting intimidation, threats, and demands that residents leave Enerhodar immediately. Of course, as we have already noted in our appeal to the IAEA, the first and foremost goal that we, the Russian delegation, set for ourselves in these negotiations is to offer the IAEA every possible assistance in highlighting this problem, the sharp escalation of threats related to Enerhodar, its residents, and its social infrastructure. It is clear that the Ukrainian troops have been tasked with making life in Enerhodar just unbearable. The issue of supplying diesel fuel to mobile generators remains a major challenge. You are aware of this safety buffer, which we, the Rosatom State Corporation, have established ourselves. As of today, diesel fuel reserves amount to approximately 50% of capacity, which will allow the plant to operate autonomously for about 11 days. We need to fill all the tanks to capacity and build up a more substantial reserve of diesel fuel in case the plant has to operate in autonomous mode. The plant has already switched to autonomous power supply 21 times. All of these incidents were handled flawlessly by both the staff and the relevant systems. The IAEA's reports, the official reports published on a regular basis, do not fully reflect the objective situation, particularly with regard to the threats facing the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. It is absolutely clear to us that, based on its mandate and due to certain constraints related to the current IAEA Director-General, these reports do not fully reflect the threat which, I emphasize, is posed to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant by the Ukrainian military's actions. Despite the highly emotional and complex negotiations, I would describe them as productive. Perhaps for the first time since 2022, we have agreed on specific steps across a wide range of issues, and we will continue this work in coordination with the Russian Guard, the the Defense Ministry, Rostekhnadzor, the Foreign Ministry, and, of course, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the IAEA and its courageous staff who have visited the plant for the 35th time. During the most recent ceasefire, which took place from June 4th to 20th for repairs at the Dnepr line, on the morning of June 5th, there was a provocation involving an airstrike. 5 of our military engineers were injured. In response, IAEA staff personally took charge of the demoning operation and, by their very presence, effectively ensured that there were no further provocations, and on our part, all repair work on the Dnepr line was completed.
Attacks on nuclear power plants are absolutely unacceptable. They may be called Bushehr, Zaporizhzhia, Kursk, Baraka.
We exchanged views on the situation in Bushehr, and I am grateful to the IAEA Director-General for describing Rosatom's position on Bushehr as reasonable a few weeks ago. He did that, and this is important to us. As you know, we withdrew more than 600 personnel from the Bushehr nuclear power plant in the spring when military activities intensified and were preparing to begin returning staff in July. According to our forecasts, this was due to take place right around this time. The relevant plan was drawn up, agreed with the security agencies and the Foreign Ministry, and approved. Just a few hours ago, and you are the first to hear this, the first 6 people departed for the site. However, after last night's attacks, we stopped them in Tehran. They are currently at our embassy, and we will decide on how to proceed in the coming hours. So, de jure, we had begun returning our staff, but we halted the process following the attacks over the last few hours. According to the information available to us, the Bushehr province was attacked, but no strikes hit the power station site.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.